So for supply, we need to see what has happened and what is going on the supply. So Thomas, can I ask you to perhaps brief us? Do you have a mic, or you want to?
No, we
just so
we
that
have a
you
mic.
can
It's okay.
guide them on this.
Yes, right. So in the summer of 2013, after various natural disasters had stopped almost coal and grain exports from Australia and also iron ore exports from Brazil, the Chinese government decided to start importing large quantities of all these commodities again, and that has really fired up the market in a way that many ship owners thought that this is a very good moment to start buying new ships, because asset prices were low, the shipyard capacity was there, and this is what many people did. And these ships, as you can see, they have entered the market, especially in the last year, and are entering as we speak, because it usually takes around 2 years to build a ship from the point of ordering to until the ship hits the water, as we say. And these ships have come to the market, but unfortunately there is not sufficient cargoes around, as we will see on other slides that the Chinese demand has slowed down. But we can also see on these slides that the demolitions of the ships, what Wojtek mentioned earlier, that a ship normally after 20 years will be going out of service because it will be uneconomical and basically has served its purpose. So we are seeing, especially in the last year and this year, we are seeing big numbers of ship demolitions, which is a good thing, but the influx of the new ships is still contributing to overall fleet growth. So especially on that chart, you can see that the demolitions have been starting to rise after the crisis. When the market picked up in between in 2013 and 2014, owners were still keeping on to their ships, because as long as the ship makes money, which is as long as you earn your operating expenses, it still makes sense to keep the asset. But with the influx of new ships, these old ships become less tradable, and that's why they were sent to mostly to beaches in South Asia, where they are literally torn apart by the people that we see on the picture. As you can see, the volume of scrapping in the first quarter of this year is almost the half of the total overall last year. So we expect that this year will be a fantastic year for ship demolitions, which is really what the market needs. As with the new buildings that were ordered 2 to 3 years ago, this is the only reason that can help the market to improve eventually, and for people to start breaking even and maybe make money. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Walter. Yes, the crude story, the oil story in general, has been very interesting of late. That Saudi prince you just saw, Prince Mohammed bin Salman, he is the face of Saudi Arabian intergenerational regime change, and that's very important because he will probably, although he's only second in line to the throne, not first, but in all probability, if things go right for them, he may be the first of the grandchildren of the founder of Saudi Arabia, King Abdullah ibn Saud, to sit on the throne of the largest economy in the Middle East. So, what is he thinking now? A lot of what he is thinking seems to be influenced by one of his known right-hand men, and that is the new oil minister, just recently appointed, who is also the chairman of Saudi Aramco. His name is Khaled Al-Falih. Now, Falih is an oil man. He has spent decades in the organization of Saudi Aramco, but recently he has grown very close to Prince Mohammed, He is probably his mentor in all things to do with oil and quite a lot of things to do with the economy in general. And what we're seeing now is really how his vision combined with the prince's dynamism and really a belief that Saudi Arabia needs change and how those two are playing out.
Let's get on to it. Here are the 3 or 4 points I'd like you to address. Iran, what is your perspective as an operator and what's your take on that in the context of how relevant that is for the grain buyer? Yemen, Qatar, piracy.
Thank you, Wojtek, and good afternoon to all of you. Well, as you all know that Iran has just opened up and the sanctions have been lifted, but as you know that still the primary sanction is still in place, the secondary sanction has been lifted, which means that US citizens and US banks are still not allowed to trade freely with Iran. As a result, you still have a problem with the currency, and as you know, shipping is a global business, international business. Most acceptable currency is US dollar. Hence, if US banks are not permitted to trade with Iran, you have a huge challenge there when it comes to receiving freight and paying your costs such as the charter hire, bunker price and all that. So that's a major challenge with respect to Iran. And also, as you know, that most of the Iranian entities pre-sanction days were part of the OFAC list, Office of Foreign Asset Control. So it's still very difficult to know at this stage how many of them have been lifted from that list and how many still exist. So it's again a major challenge, because that's one of the preconditions when you do business with Iran, is that you have to see that your counterparty is not a sanctioned entity.
With respect to performance risk and the rest, I think the key principle is know thy partner. Know thy partner. First and foremost, you need to know, whether the guy with whom you do business, whether there is integrity. If the market shoots up, as it did in 2003, 2005, 2007, 2013, when the freights double, triple, whether he's going to perform the contract. So it's very important. Number 2, if integrity is not an issue, you still need to look into his financials and make sure that whoever your freight partner is will be out there when it comes to execution, because he might not be solvent. Thirdly, you need to make sure that you put in your contract proper structures that allow you to leave the contract if it turns out that either your partner or his supplier is insolvent. Right? There's a number of quite simple steps, yet fundamentally important, that can reduce greatly your risks. Okay? From the shipping cycle perspective, exactly at the time it was the right time to sell, people started buying and ordering new ships. Fast forward 5 years, in 2013, so that was the story that Thomas was referring to. So you had pouring rains in Brazil, and you have Cyclone Oswald that ravaged Queensland, and that led to shortage in inventories for coal and iron ore in China in the summer of 2013. And all of a sudden, Chinese decided, okay, let's go in the market, flooded with orders, and the Cape rates, Panamax rates tripled in the space of 2 months. And people wrongly thought, okay, that's a signal that the cycle has bottomed out and is recovering. And the misery was exacerbated because this is at the time when liquidity became very abundant in the US. And you have a lot of people who said, hey, let's do some IPOs. And you had the flood of the second wave of ordering in the second half of 2013. And those ships hit the market last year and the year before, second half. Okay?